Imagine waking up tomorrow, and the lights don't come on, the water pump is dead, the hospital down the street has canceled surgeries, the gas station has a sign, no fuel, your factory whistle doesn't blow, your city just stops. That is not a scene from a dystopian movie. That is Cuba, right now. And the situation is getting worse by the hour. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most dramatic and rapidly evolving crises unfolding in the Western Hemisphere, Cuba's catastrophic energy collapse and the very real threat that its oil refineries and factories could shut down completely. To understand what is happening right now in February 2026, we need to take a step back and ask a simple question. Where does Cuba get its energy? Cuba is a small island nation of approximately 11 million people located just 90 miles south of Florida. The country produces only about 40% of its own fuel, primarily a low-quality crude oil used in its aging thermoelectric power plants. The remaining 60% must be imported, and for decades Cuba relied on three key partners to fill that gap: Venezuela, Mexico, and Russia. Venezuela was the crown jewel of that partnership. Under a political and economic alliance forged between Fidel Castro and Hugo Chavez in the early 2000s, Venezuela sent Cuba deeply subsidized crude oil, sometimes tens of thousands of barrels per day, in exchange for Cuban doctors, military advisors, and political support. At its peak, Venezuela supplied Cuba with over 100,000 barrels per day. That relationship sustained the Cuban economy for more than 2 decades. Food markets are running low, produce is dwindling, bread and milk have become scarce luxuries, there's no bread, no milk for nutrition, there are no medicines. The healthcare system, already devastated by years of emigration and underfunding, is on the verge of collapse. Cuba's health minister Jose Angel Portal Miranda stated publicly that U.S. sanctions are no longer just crippling the economy, they are threatening basic human safety. He warned that 5 million Cubans living with chronic illnesses will see their medications or treatments affected. That includes 16,000 cancer patients requiring radiotherapy, 12,400 patients undergoing chemotherapy, and thousands requiring cardiovascular care, orthopedic surgeries, and critical care. Hospitals have canceled all but the most emergency surgeries. Some provincial hospitals have canceled outpatient transfers. CT scans and advanced laboratory tests have been restricted to conserve power, meaning doctors must revert to more basic diagnostic methods, effectively cutting many patients off from high-level care. Solar panels are being hastily installed in clinics to try to keep lights on for the most vulnerable patients, but honestly, the pace is nowhere near fast enough. For me, any change for us will be better than what we are living through, because what we are experiencing is not humane. Many Cubans are making painful comparisons to the special period of the 1990s, the years immediately after the Soviet Union collapsed and Cuba lost its primary benefactor. Back then, Cuba's GDP fell by roughly a third between 1991 and 1994. But analysts say the current crisis may feel even more severe to everyday Cubans, because the country never fully recovered from that earlier shock. As one analyst put it, this new nosedive starts off further down. Now let's speak directly to the title of today's video, Cuba's oil factories and industrial sector. Cuba has several key oil refineries and processing facilities, including the Nico Lopez Refinery in Havana, one of the country's most important. On February 13, 2026, a fire broke out at a key fuel processing plant in Havana, sending a large plume of smoke rising above Havana Bay and drawing the attention of the capital's residents. Cuba's Ministry of Energy and Mines said the fire erupted in a warehouse at the refinery, was eventually extinguished by fire crews, and that the cause was under investigation. But the incident highlighted just how close to the edge Cuba's industrial infrastructure already is. With oil imports all but cut off, Cuba's refineries have little to process. When there is no crude oil flowing in, refineries do not operate. they sit idle. Workers are sent home. The economic output they generate disappears. The refined products they would have produced, gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, residual fuel oil for power plants, are simply not being made. The Cuban government has stated that scarce remaining fuel supplies will go to essential services and priority economic sectors such as agriculture and exports. What that means in practice is that non-essential industrial activity, manufacturing, production lines, processing facilities, is being curtailed or shut down entirely. The industrial shutdown is not just an economic problem, it is a cascading humanitarian crisis. When food processing factories cannot run, food supplies shrink. When water treatment facilities lose power, clean water becomes scarce. When pharmaceutical production is interrupted, medicine runs out. So, what are the political dimensions of this crisis? What does the United States want, and how is Cuba responding? The Trump administration has been remarkably transparent about its goals. There's no doubt about the fact that it would be a great benefit to the United States if Cuba was no longer governed by an autocratic regime. It doesn't have to be a humanitarian crisis. I think they probably would come to us and want to make a deal. So Cuba would be free again. Washington's stated objective is regime change in Cuba by the end of 2026. Cuba's response has been defiant, but also pragmatic. Initially, Diaz-Canel used strong rhetoric about U.S. imperialism, but by February 6, 2026, he shifted, declaring that Cuba is ready for a talk with Washington on every topic without prerequisites, while drawing the line at discussions about Cuba's internal political system. We're not ready to discuss our constitutional system, as we suppose the U.S. is not ready to discuss their constitutional system. The international community has expressed deep alarm. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned of a humanitarian crisis if oil does not get through. Even the United States provided $6 million in humanitarian aid, including rice, beans, pasta, canned tuna, and solar lamps, to be delivered through the Catholic Church and Caritas. Critics have noted the bitter irony: the U.S. is simultaneously causing the humanitarian crisis and offering a small amount of aid to address it. Meanwhile, Nicaragua canceled visa-free travel for Cuban citizens, and Guatemala announced a phased withdrawal of Cuba's medical brigade. So where does this go from here? There are essentially three scenarios playing out. The first is negotiation and deal. Cuba and the United States find some basis for dialogue. The second scenario is collapse. The Cuban government, unable to keep the lights on, feed its people, or pay its workers, loses the internal legitimacy needed to remain in power. The third scenario is adaptation and survival. Cuba finds new, creative ways to source oil while accelerating its push towards solar and renewable energy. The road from here to energy independence is very long, and Cuba does not have years to wait. Cuba stands at a crossroads, unlike any it has faced since the collapse of the Soviet Union, perhaps unlike any it has faced at all. The combination of a decades-long embargo, the loss of Venezuelan oil, Mexico's suspension of shipments, and now a formal U.S. oil blockade, has created a perfect storm of energy deprivation. The factories are going dark, the refineries are running dry, the hospitals are rationing care, and 11 million people are living through it all, day by day, blackout by blackout. Whatever your political views on the Cuban government, on sanctions, on U.S. foreign policy, the humanitarian stakes here are real, and they are urgent. The world is watching. History is being written. We will continue to follow this story and bring you updates as it develops. This is one of the most important geopolitical stories of 2026, and it deserves your attention. If you found this video informative and important, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button right now. It's the single best way to make sure you never miss a story like this. Every subscriber helps us keep doing the independent, in-depth reporting that matters. And a huge thank you to everyone already subscribed and watching. You are the reason we do this. Drop a comment below. Tell us what you think will happen next in Cuba. We read every single one. Until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and we'll see you in the next video.